This is the Ordinary Business Podcast for business owners who want honest conversations, a lean business, and an extraordinary life on their own terms. Hey friends, today I'm doing a super behind the scenes episode. I'm just going to walk you through how I take time off in my business. I've talked about this a little bit in some other episodes, but I get asked fairly often how I take so much time off without a team. How am I gone for a week and my business doesn't get burned down? So I'm going to walk you through how I take around 5 to 7-ish weeks off of work every single year. Now, this is not consecutively. I'm not disappearing for 2 months at a time. This is usually in little pockets. So like a week of vacation, several days for a conference, a long camping weekend here or there, a couple days sprinkled in randomly. It all adds up. And it works, and I do it because my business is built to support that. And I don't mean this obviously in like $1 million. I have 17 people helping me, and that's how I take 7 weeks off every year. So let's talk about it. So first things first, every year my husband and I take a week-long vacation, usually August or September because it's around our anniversary. We are typically booking that trip by March, maybe April at the latest. And literally the second that the trip is booked, it is on my calendar as time off. And when I'm on actual vacation like that, I'm not checking email. I'm not checking Slack. I'm not just hopping in real quick. There is an autoresponder. I am out of office. End of story. Now, in the past, there have been, I think maybe once or twice, that we booked a trip sooner than expected, or a trip came up and I already had client work on the calendar. And in those cases, I talked to the client and I think I either like shifted their start date until I got back or just extended the timeline. It wasn't a big deal at all, but I personally do not want to become that person that does that, where this becomes a pattern. I don't want to be a person who books, a trip, as much as I love traveling, and then has to move all of my clients around every single time. So I try my best to plan ahead and stick to the calendar. And then anytime there's like another vacation, family stuff, a long weekend, a camping trip, whatever, it also goes on the calendar. If it's on the calendar, it's real. And I'm not in the office, most likely. And also another thing, this is kind of related. If you are a parent, listen up. Your kid's school calendar, I know you get it if you're like me, and you get it and you're like, great, here's all these breaks. And then it just kind of like stays on the fridge. Upload that into Google Gemini and ask it to create calendar events for every single date thing highlighted on the calendar and to mark you as busy. Now, obviously, this might not mean that you don't work those days. I still work some no school days because I have a babysitter, grandparent, etc. But I do not want any calls on those days in case my kid is home, because I might not be working all day. I might only be working half the day, whatever it is. So really it's one, reminding me that, this is when fall break is. But two, it's protecting my time. And so again, if I'm planning summits or client projects, those school days and breaks are already on my calendar. And the Gemini part is just fun because it does it for you. Literally just adds it all for you. So that is a little bonus tip for you when you're adding vacations and stuff. Don't forget to add in your kids' school breaks. Okay, let's talk client projects, because a lot of you listening are also service providers like me, and this is often where people get overwhelmed. We all do this a little differently, so this may or may not work for you. My timelines are very simple. Projects are either 2 or 3 weeks long. That's it. Occasionally, a really big site will need a little bit more. So when someone books, I look at my calendar and say, okay, Amy starts January 9th. That project goes until the 21st. I'm just making up dates here. And then the following Monday becomes the next available start date. It's just a rolling system. And so this is why putting my trips and my daughter's school breaks on the calendar is so important, because if I'm getting on a plane to go to Europe on, September 9th or whatever, you better believe I am not starting a client on September 8th or 9th or 10th. And if a project would overlap with a vacation, I don't like that. And so I would just push their start date to when I get back. And when I say push, I mean, I'm not even going to offer like September 8th. It's not that, I'm not moving their timeline, but I'm saying like, well, that's not an option to start that week. So we're going to just start the next week. Sometimes with the way that dates and timelines fall, that means I end up with like a weird empty week before vacation. And honestly, I kind of like that. I can slide in a Jumpstart website, a smaller SEO project, a website audit, or I can take an admin week and just catch up on things, get through some of the things that sometimes fall by the wayside, and honestly just kind of like breathe before I go travel. So I honestly don't mind if I have a free week of no clients before vacation. Yes, that is a week that, I'm not doing anything. Theoretically, you could say I'm not getting paid. We'll get into that. Whenever I'm traveling in whatever capacity, there are two modes: unplugged versus reachable. And this is something I think a lot of business owners could kind of adopt. Vacation mode for me, this is basically like when my husband and I go to Europe. Fully unplugged, no inbox, no Slack, no client work. I am posting on Instagram stories because I just want to show all the cool stuff that we're seeing. But that's it. I'm not posting educational little stories or sales stories while I'm eating pizza in Italy or something. And then there's off but reachable mode. So this is more so like when I'm camping, I'm at a conference, visiting friends, doing a little family trip. In those cases, I'm not working all day. I mean, especially when I'm camping, I don't work at all when I camp. But if I'm at a conference or I'm going to see my sister, I might work for 30 minutes or an hour if I need to. I might check email periodically just to kind of check in, but it's not a big deal. I'm not doing these two types of little trips every single month. And to me, it's fine because I'm not on vacation, quote unquote. So I'm kind of fine with that give and take of kind of checking in. You may want it to be totally unplugged. That's your call. So, and then I wanted to talk about how I prep the week before. We already talked about sometimes that week is empty. But my prep is really simple. I'm not doing this big pre-vacation sprint. I don't have a spreadsheet or a checklist or anything. I'm turning on my autoresponder in my inbox. I usually add a quick line or disclaimer in my Dubsado emails because I have a very in-depth onboarding sequence. And so I want reminders in there that I'm out of office. And then I like to make sure that content like YouTube or podcast is scheduled not only for the week I'm gone, obviously, but sometimes even a week after I'm back, or even 2 weeks if I can, so that I'm not getting back and I'm like, okay, back in the office, got to catch up on emails, start that client project, and I need to record a podcast episode. So I like to schedule out a week or two after vacation too. And then I leave for vacation. This episode is sponsored by Taylor Aller. If you've played with ChatGPT, but you're like, this feels like more work because I have to keep going back and forth, you are going to want to sign up for her workshop. It's 90 minutes. I actually went to her last one. It's step by step. It's very easy. You get to ask her questions and test out your new AI bot. The next one is happening live on January 23rd. Check the link in the show notes and go grab a spot. And I know that people always assume, especially the older adults in my life, in my family, okay, if you're not working, you're not making money. But in my business model, that is just not true. So I'm not stressed about money. Thankfully, I'm in a place that I'm not stressed about the money because clients pay in installments because I'm booked out. And so clients are paying their total in 4 to 5 payments over the next few months. So I'm not having to worry like, okay, well, I got this lump sum back in January, but I'm not getting any money this month because I'm gone a bunch or, anything like that. And then I also get consistent leads from SEO, from referrals, from content, on social and podcasts. So I'm not dealing with launch cycles. It's a pretty consistent flow of leads. So even if I'm out for a week, again, payments are coming in. So maybe you could think about how you structure your payment plans with clients or how you schedule your projects to kind of make room for time off and still have money come in. I also want to clarify that most of my clients are one-off clients. I don't have a ton of retainers. I do have several SEO retainer clients, but again, those weren't created for like time off income. They were just created to serve my clients and help them. They're just a bonus in that sense that I have that kind of set recurring income. And I have built margin into my weeks. So I don't want you to think that like, okay, so I'm taking off 7 weeks-ish a year, but the weeks I'm here are just bananas. Typically, my boundaries are no calls on Mondays or Fridays. And then I, this year, started blocking off every other Tuesday. Not because I'm taking off every other Tuesday. That's just like margin and breathing room. It's just another day because I'm balancing discovery calls, client check-in calls with past clients, coffee chats, podcast interviews, and I think some other calls that I'm forgetting. So just like having an extra day every other week is, it's nice. And so consider margin a business strategy. So we talked about kind of the prep and the during. I also wanted to briefly mention coming back. I'm not gonna lie, I start checking my inbox when I'm at the airport. Vacation ends when I'm in security. My brain kind of turns back on. I'm not replying to anything. I don't even have my laptop, so I can't work. I'm just deleting the 113 like newsletters and notification emails that I don't need to read. So I do like to try and have the first day or two back in office without calls. So I want that time to just catch up, regroup, get back into the groove of working. I don't want my first day back to be like, okay, so I have to start this project, have 3 calls, record a podcast. Like I like to ease back in. So one of the last things that I wanted to mention, because I've had friends who are like, I just struggle with taking time off. They enjoy traveling, but they just struggle with taking time off. And yes, there's prep and there's some give and take, and some things have to, be moved around. But I really, really enjoy traveling and wanted to talk about part of the reason that I take time off. And I'm going to try to get through this without crying, but no promises. A big part of why I prioritize time off, why I travel and, go see friends and family and go to conferences and do this and take time off and quote unquote like miss out on money is because I don't know what my long-term health will look like. I've had type 1 diabetes for over 30 years and I'm only 35. And I don't know how my body will age or what kind of complications I might face. I don't know how long I'll be healthy, and that's scary and sad. And sometimes also a little bit, I don't know if liberating is the right word, but I don't want to wait until someday to see the places I want to see or do the things that I want to do. Because I'm young and I'm healthy right now, and I want to enjoy it. And my husband and I talk about this actually quite often when we're on vacation because we like to go to Europe, and we have gone to Europe like almost every year for the last several years. And when we're going on like tours and whatnot, we are always the youngest people next to a bunch of like 60 and 70-year-old couples. And we are also like hardcore vacationers. Like we get 20,000 steps a day type of people. And we just talk about, like, I hope we still get to vacation when we're older, obviously, but we get to see so much more and do so much more because we're younger and active. And I'm just really grateful for the opportunity and the privilege to be able to travel. But it's also, again, like, it's that in the back of my mind, like, I don't know how long I'll be able to do this. So when people look at my calendar and my traveling and they're like, I don't know. I've never had anyone make comments about me being lazy or indulging in too much time off, but I don't want to waste these years that I know I have. And my business is designed to support that. I want my business to support the freedom to live my life now while I still can. So I didn't get through that without crying. But we're going to wrap up. That's my little synopsis behind the scenes of how I take 5 to 7-ish weeks off a year without a team. There's no fancy system, as you can tell. It's not perfect. There's just a lot of intentionality. It's a lot of structure. So I hope this shows you that you don't need a huge team. You don't have to like have some big massive income empire to take time off. You just need to kind of build in the boundaries and the structure into your business that supports the life that you want. So that's all for today. If you have any questions or you want me to clarify something, if you're like, what did you mean about XYZ? You can DM me on Instagram at Jess Creatives or at The Ordinary Business. I love hearing from you, and I will see y'all next time.